Let's step to a national scale just for a minute.
Okay.
And this implies a Big 12 team. Bryce, we talked about this on our Saturday night show. Obviously, we've got the first college football playoff rankings out. An undefeated Oklahoma drops all the way to 8 in the first rankings. Obviously, we've got more coming out this Tuesday. But I went off saying that I think if Oklahoma wins out, they are in. Bryce, just give me your high level. Who do you think gets into the college football playoff and why? And we're not going to dive super deep into this. If you guys want to hear all that action, watch our national show on Saturday night after dark show. We got into it this past weekend. It was great. Go watch the recorded version or whatever. But, Bryce, give us your thoughts on how you think the Final Four shape out the college football playoff as we stand
as
today.
it sits right now.
Yes.
As it sits right now, Michigan State is out, right?
Correct.
Before I get into as it sits now, the selection committee had Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, and Oregon as its top 4, with Ohio State and Cincinnati first 2 sitting out. What that tells me is that OU, even being undefeated, Oregon losing to a terrible Stanford team, Oregon being the only one-loss team in that scenario. What that tells me is that the committee thinks nothing of Oklahoma and the wins that they have produced. When you talk about barely beating Tulane, Tulane is the last in the American Conference. When you talk about beating Kansas on basically a last-ditch effort in the fourth quarter, again, style points, what we talked about in our After Dark show is how does the rest of the top, how would they play against the opponent that you're going up against? I know that you're sitting back and you can't wait till I get done with this.
But I'm holding strong.
But what this is saying to me is that OU has a very big uphill battle to climb. But in saying that, and before I digress to my buddy Trevor, they do have a ranked Baylor team at Baylor. They do have an Iowa State team who's probably did Iowa State get ranked this week? I know the AP poll came out. Anyways, doesn't matter. They're going to Ames, and then they're going to
No, they're at home against
home
State.
to get and
then they're going
against
to a ranked Oklahoma State.
And they're going to Oklahoma State exactly for the Bedlam game. So there is enough meat there that I do think that they can make their way up. But can they hop Iowa State, and can they hop Oregon, which most likely Oregon will –
Ohio State.
What did I say?
You said Iowa State.
Sorry, Ohio State. Ohio State is going to be in, and I think
if they win out. If they win out.
If Ohio State wins out, which they have a tough schedule as well. But as it sits right now, Michigan State is going to be out. Oregon's going to be at 3. Ohio State's going to be at 4. What happens with Cincinnati, I think Michigan bumps up, and now you have Oklahoma sitting at 7 or 8. Can they hop 3 teams?
All right, so who is your Final Four as it stands today? Who's making the playoff?
I got Georgia, I got Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State as my top 4.
Oh, my gosh. This guy's a joke. Oregon.
As it sits right now?
Oregon.
I think if Oregon and Oklahoma play, I think Oregon beats them.
All right. You're telling me that Oklahoma has made the playoff, 4 times now? 3 times? 3 or 4 times? Every single one of those times they have one loss. Sure, they had Baker Mayfield. Sure, they had Kyler Murray. Sure, they had Jalen Hurts, right? But you're telling me the year that they can make, if they go undefeated, the year they go undefeated as a Power 5 undefeated champion, Big 12 champion, that they will get turned away to a one-loss Pac-12 champion, which you even admitted to me the Pac-12 is inferior to the Big 12.
It is.
Just because Oregon beat Ohio State week 1, anything could happen. Nobody knows who they are yet.
Week 3, but
whatever. Week 2, week 3. It was early on. You're telling me that an undefeated Power 5 historic program in Oklahoma who is undefeated, let me say that one more time, undefeated, is not going to make the playoff over a one-loss Oregon team who got embarrassed by Stanford. That's what you're telling me.
I'm telling you that the committee has ranked 4 teams
Oh.
in front of your 4 one-loss
at
teams
this point.
in front of
At this point.
Yeah, at this point.
Okay, I hate
they
the
have
Oregon.
ranked
I hate the
4
fact that they
teams.
put Oregon there because that means that they have to Oregon's gonna win out. They
I
play
hate
in a
to break it to you,
boo-boo
dude,
conference.
But if Oregon wasn't there, Ohio State would be there.
Okay, but if Oklahoma finishes their season beating 3 ranked teams and
Yeah.
are undefeated, they're still not making it in?
You didn't ask me that. You said as it sits right now.
No, I said at the end of the year if Oklahoma's undefeated.
That's not what you said.
I said both. I said both. Fair enough. I said both.
That's fine.
If Oklahoma goes undefeated and they beat 3 ranked teams in Baylor, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State.
I think they're 4 or 5, 100%.
4,
'Cause I don't
okay,
think-
4 or 5
And
is
it's-
a huge deal because 4 is
agree.
in and 5 is out.
Because Ohio State and Michigan still have each other to play, as is Michigan State. That is going to be
Okay,
a hell of a run
if-
to Big Ten.
Okay, so we've got to go up to 1 and 2. You said Georgia, Alabama. That is assuming
That is assuming
that
You're right,
Alabama
you're right.
beats Georgia in the
Right.
SEC championship. Because if Alabama loses, now they're a 2-loss team. Do you still put them in?
No.
A lot of people are saying yes.
I know, and I don't think you can do that. That's pardon my French. That's horse shit if you do that to a 2-loss Bama just based on what they've done. But you have presented the same argument based on what OU has done in the past. Gets them there because they're undefeated today.
Not because of what they've done in the past.
I
Really.
understand that,
I
but
said
what
that.
you're
But
saying
they are
that
a
'cause
Power
it's a
5
one-loss
team.
I know that, but what you're saying is it's a one-loss team and they're undefeated today. So how does that make any sense that you put? But the Baker teams, the Kyler teams, those teams are so much better than this team right now. I understand that Caleb Williams has given the OU Sooners a spark, but what this is presented is, again, Tulane, last team in their conference, Nebraska, last team in their conference, and they took Kansas to the fourth quarter. How?
Okay.
Why?
But
Style
listen
points.
to yourself.
You cannot.
Listen to yourself. I'm parenting you right now.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Listen to yourself talk.
I'm undefeated.
You're in.
I'm
That is
undefeated.
why do we play the game?
Cincinnati could be saying the same
Listen,
thing.
why do you play the game? To win. That is the first and foremost. Then you get into all this crap that this committee that sits around a big, rich mahogany desk and makes all these stupid decisions. That's what you get into after that because of people like you who I'm sorry, I couldn't even say that seriously. People like you who try and dive too deep into this. They're an undefeated Power 5 team.
About dive too deep. Okay, real quick. If you had
Undefeated Power 5
so then
team.
who would be your top 4 right now based on the same thing that you just said? People like me that don't look at style points. Who would be your top 4 right now?
I'll tell you one thing. An undefeated Georgia, Power 5 champion, undefeated, and an undefeated Oklahoma, Power 5, Big 12 champion, are both in.
Okay, and your next 2. Go.
Big 10 champion if they've got one loss.
I'm talking about right now. Who would your 4 be if you were in the selection committee along with all of us? Who would your selection committee be right now? 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're having a different conversation.
Why are you deflecting? What is 1, 2, 3, 4?
Listen, are we talking about right now? Because I'm fine with being
right now.
I'm fine with Oklahoma being out right now. They haven't.
Garrett, do you hear this?
They haven't. No.
What your
Listen
whole
to what I'm
argument is the
saying.
fact that they're not in right now.
No. My whole argument is the fact that they will be in if they stay undefeated because they play 3 ranked teams. That's what
agree.
I just said.
You said as it sits right now.
No, I didn't.
Can we rewind this tape? We have not been arguing what happens on January 7th.
That's what I've been arguing. That's why I even said it. They have to play. They get to play 3 ranked teams, and they'll be in. Right now, as we look at it, do I think they should be in? Yes, because they're an undefeated Power 5 conference. But I'm okay if they're out right now. If they go undefeated and they don't get in, now I'm pissed.
Okay, so you're saying undefeated Georgia. Naturally, that's 1 and 2.
Georgia's
what we talked about, right?
Everybody's playing for second right now. Georgia's running away with this thing.
Okay, so where would you put OU at 2, 3, or 4 at the end of the year if they are undefeated, and then you have what will be a one-loss Big Ten team And then who is your fourth?
So
Because we have 3 spots to fill.
So it depends on the SEC championship. If Alabama beats Georgia, they're both 1 loss. They're still 1 and 2, in my opinion.
Agreed. I would agree with that.
Okay. So then I think you put an undefeated Oklahoma team now with 3 more solid ranked wins at 3.
Okay.
So it'll probably be Alabama, Oklahoma in a semifinal.
Okay.
And Georgia and 1-loss Big Ten champion, which is, I hope, Ohio State in the other semifinal. So
but dude,
I
you're
have
such
Georgia,
a creature of habit. How many
Alabama,
times they've had
Oklahoma, and Ohio State.
This is what, the sixth college football playoff, and it's been the same 4 teams outside of Notre Dame.
It's a monopoly. So you just want to see somebody else.
Especially if Oklahoma gets out of these games winless, there is no way.
I think this is a year that somebody could go in the playoff again. Ohio State did it several years ago and beat Alabama, but I think this year somebody, like we just saw with LSU this weekend against Alabama, I think there's actually a chance for somebody to go in the playoff against Alabama. Let's be honest, Alabama's not going to freaking beat Georgia. They're not going to the playoff. They're a 2-loss team. So I need to reshuffle my top 4 anyways.
And that's the thing.
In the spirit of Christmas, elf it. I'm going Georgia number 1, Oklahoma number 2, Ohio State number 3, freaking undefeated Cincinnati at number 4 for the playoff.
I don't see.
They'll put Oregon in there, which is stupid. But anyways, I digress. We're getting too deep into this. We're a Big 12 podcast, and we're talking national. But if you want our thoughts, join the After Dark show. Me and Bryce will scream at each other again.
Or tweet us.
It's unhealthy marriage we've got going on here.
I think it's a very healthy marriage. I think you just need to understand what you're arguing and then present that.
I am as clear as day on my argument. As clear as absolute day.
Yeah, Pierce.
If Oklahoma goes undefeated and they win a Power 5 conference with 3 more ranked wins, they should go to the playoff. Yes, every time.
That
clear
would
as
be
day.
the argument. Do you think they go in at that point? You said as it sits now. Anyways, all right.
Whatever.